Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I realized that I've never introduced myself, or at least I don't think I've introduced myself. I'm Dara. This is my channel. If you've watched my channel before, you've probably seen that in the past I've tried to do like video game content. I've tried to do lives with like me streaming, but it never really came up anything of that. Lately, for the past few years now, I've been reading a lot. And I was like, you know what? I have a lot to say about what I'm reading. And that's what we're doing now. This is the channel. I just wanted to tell you guys that because I was like, I've never introduced myself. So that's that. Today, we're going to go through all the books that I've read in the month of March. This month was not a good reading month. It was not. I'm going to be completely honest. It was a slump fest. Comment below if you went through a slump this month. I actually checked my story graph today and I read 54 books already in the year. It's March. My goal for the year was 50. I don't know what the race is. I don't know what I'm trying to run to, but yeah, so that all caught up to me. I will say that I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. So when I'm working, editing, working out, I don't like to listen to a lot of music when I'm working out. I usually just listen to audiobooks. So that's kind of what this month was. I think I listened to 4 or 5 audiobooks this month. And yeah. And then after, we're going to go through my April TBR to see if I can stick with it. Because a lot of the books that I was supposed to read in March are going to be in the April TBR. And I've actually started reading one. So I guess I'm back. I'm back, baby. Let's go through the books. Okay, I just went through my list to see how many books I read. And you know what? I think I'm being a little bit hard on myself. I think lately I've been having these goals of like reading 16, 18 books where I felt like I was just turning them out. But looking at my list, I read a lot. I think I read about 10 books this month. 10 books I'm going to talk to you guys about. Actually, Let's just check. The Storygraph has these really good filtering options. It's giving someone who works in like Excel or does like a lot of analytics, obviously Storygraph made this app and it's perfect for my Virgo brain because I'm like, yes, I can look up by month, see how many books I actually read in March. Okay. In the month of March, I actually consumed 14 books. There are 4 books on here that I'm not going to talk about just because they were just kind of like slump books, you know, romance, mafia. And we're not on that relationship yet where I want to open that part of myself up to you guys. So maybe later on we'll start talking about those books that I read. But 10 of these books, I did consume 10 books normally. Not normally, but I did read. I'm saying consume because I know there's a lot of chit chat about audiobooks versus reading. And maybe I'll do a video on that. Because that is something that I want to talk about. But anyway, 10 books this month. Let's start off with The Lightning Thief. I listened to The Lightning Thief, Sea of Monsters, and The Titan's Curse all on audiobook this month. I'm actually reading The Battle of Labyrinth right now or listening to it. That's my audiobook right now. Those books are just so easy to consume. I watched the show with my friends earlier this year. Was that February? January, February? In the winter. I watched that with them. And then they caught up. They were like, yeah, this did not happen in the books. I was like, I read the books. I read The Lightning Thief back in 2022 again. So it was a reread from before. And I remember that I did read the 5 books. But now I'm at a place where I don't remember anything that happened in the Battle of Labyrinth. The audiobook is so good. The narrator that narrates the book, he is amazing. He just brings the characters to life. Like it's actually like, wow, I'm visualizing what's happening while I'm listening to it. Usually when I'm listening to audiobooks, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But now it's like, I guess it has to do with like, oh yeah, I knew what happened. But listening to it and this guy, he actually sounds like I got it. I don't know his name. I think I should just find it real quick. Okay. The audiobooks are narrated by Jesse Bernstein. Jesse, you're doing a phenomenal job. I'm having so much fun listening to these books. They are so quick. I'll say that I listen to my audiobooks on 2 times speed. I think at max I'll go 2.5, but 2.25, 2.0, like 2 times speed is probably the usual. 2.5 is very much, there's another book that I read this month that I actually had to do 2.5 speed on. But yeah, I read those 3 books this month and I'm going to keep going, see how far I can go. Okay, the next book that I read was Love Theoretically. So, Love Theoretically was part of a book swap that I did with my book Discord. And I think now that I'm thinking about it, the reason why I'm reading so much is when you're on Discords and they have like challenges and readathons, you just want to read more. And then you're surrounded by people that are reading more. So you just read more. So, tangent, but yeah, I did do a swap. It was a spicy swap, but this was Love Theoretically, and Love Theoretically is not spicy. Um, but I was excited to get this book because I had already checked it out because I had just finished Bride, in January. So I was like, I'm going to read another Ali Hazelwood. I read The Love Hypothesis like a long time ago. And I was like, I remember liking it, but now I'm like, okay, we'll try some more. So I did read Love Theoretically. And I gave this like a solid 3 out of 5. It was very academic, very much physics. And I'm like, I don't really know a lot about Ali Hazelwood's background, but I know her series is like women STEM series. I know like the main character in Bride was like a hacker. And then the main character in Love Theoretically is like a physicist, a doctor, I believe. Very academic. I'm like, a lot of research had to have gone into it. It kind of reminded me of back when I was in college and I tried to do a stats major and seeing that, like, seeing the way that the office and the hallways and all the professors kind of acted kind of reminded me a lot like that. And I thought that was really fun. It felt like a slice of life. And then you had a guy there. And I'm kind of like smiling to myself because I know I said in my review that people say that Ali Hazelwood, you just know that you're reading Ali Hazelwood because it's kind of have like the big tall man and oh, I'm just so small. So when I noticed that in the books, I'm like, that is hilarious. Like that's like her thing. And then the other thing that she does is give her characters like funny, interesting, unique names. Elsie, Misery in The Bride. So it's just like funny. But yeah, I Love Theoretically, it was fine. It was enjoyable. The man falls first, so what? How could you be upset about that? I guess it's like that's fun. After Love Theoretically, I felt the slump coming, and you know what? I was like, this is time for a reread. I reread *The Serpent and the Wings of Night* by Carissa Broadbent. Just a moment for Carissa Broadbent. She was a new author that I discovered last year, and I pretty much just read all her works. I enjoy her writing. I enjoy the story that she told us in *Serpent and the Wings of Night* and *Ashes of the Star-Crossed King*. I think that's the name. That was one of my favorite romantasy, fantasy romance, whichever one it is, of 2023. That series, that duology. I really liked it. So I decided to reread it and enjoyed it. I think this time around, it wasn't as enjoyable as the first time because you like know what's going to happen and you know what to expect. But I still liked it. It did what it had to do for me. And just, I did order the Fairy Loot versions of this book, waited in line, and it took an hour and a half to order them. So that's coming this summer. I can't wait to show you guys all the books that I got from like these book subscriptions because I ordered a few. The next book I read in March was Jade War by Fonda Lee. Last month, or January, February, I read Jade City. Didn't really like it. I think I said I gave it 3 stars. The first half was just crap, and then the second half kind of took off. And I was like, I'm going to give Jade War a try. Guys, Jade War, so much better than Jade City. And I have a thing that I say where I'm just like, a lot of first books and series fall into a hole where it's like, this is just a setup, this is just a setup to a world that we're going to build that's going to be so much better. Just keep going, read the second book, read the third book. And that's what Jade City fell off. It's like, okay, we're just setting things up for how they're going to go. Jade War, so much better. I loved the family dynamics. I love the world building. We're in different places, guys. We're not in the area originally. We're in new cities, new people, new characters, new storylines expanded. It was just so much better. It did have its faults, things that I just didn't really like, more like I consume this via audio. So I think that someone said that it's different when you read it, because in this book there were like time skips. And when you're listening auditorily, you don't really know that time has passed. But someone I think said that in the book that tells you that time has passed, because there were moments when I was listening, I was like, they should probably discuss this. They should probably, like, I want to see some expansion of like how you're feeling about this. But it's just like, no, you're just gonna skip to the next year. That was one of my big gripes about that. But Jade War, I'm going to continue Jade Legacy. I am warned now that it will do the same, where it's going to have a lot of time skips. And it's okay. I'm probably going to read that because it is on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm going to read that instead of listening to the audio. And then in March, I also had a TBR challenge where I had someone pick 2 books off of my long Goodreads TBR and just find them for me, and then I would read them. I'm doing it again for April. We'll talk about what I'm going to be reading. I'm excited for this book. This month, I read The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, and then I also read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Let's start with The Kaiju Preservation Society. I liked this one. It was so fun, so interesting. I like reading books when it's a new concept, something I've never heard of. I'm like, this is exciting. This book reminded me of Jurassic Park, the movies, because I did not read the books. Maybe I will now, where this guy, he loses his job, he gets offered this random job, and he pretty much is going to like a parallel world where he's going to take care of kaiju. Kaiju, think of Godzilla, which Godzilla is a kaiju. Think of what's the gorilla? Donkey, not Donkey. I was gonna say Donkey Kong, not Donkey Kong. I'll put it somewhere. You know what I'm talking about. But him. So those are kaiju, like big monsters, animals, and you pretty much just follow this guy as he finds his footing working with these reptiles and how they do it. And it was really fun, really short read. I actually did read this. I got this from my library. Next, I read, like I said, Dark Matter. In Dark Matter, it's another parallel universe type, multiverse type book. And this one was interesting. I finished this in one night. It was super fast paced. The books, if you ever look at book pages, the book pages were thick. So, like, the book looks heavy and thick. And I guess it was like 300 pages, but margins were large, print was large. So I just flew through this book. How did I feel about this? The first half, I enjoyed. Super fast pace. I did not know where it was going to go, and that's kind of where it went downhill, because it did not go where I thought it was going to go, and not in a good way. We pretty much follow this guy. We find out he's a physics professor or something like that, like quantum mechanics. Physics, I failed physics, so I don't know. But we find out that he gets kidnapped one night and pretty much wakes up in this weird sterile laboratory, pretty much. And he's very confused. The world looks like his world, but it's not his world. It looks like he goes home, it looks like his house, it's not his house. He doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have his child, he's missing his whole family. Where am I? How did I get here? Who kidnapped me? Who's this guy? So he pretty much followed this guy's adventure as he tries to get back home. And this involves time leaping and multiverses, and it kind of gets insane. So insane to the point where the author almost didn't know how to finish it in a way that was like, that makes sense. And I think my issues with it were the main character. He was a little annoying. He was obsessed with finding his wife, which I guess I get it. Like, you love your wife so much, of course I'm going to get to it. But it was just kind of like weird. The ending, like they said, the ending was so crazy. I still don't understand the ending and why the author chose to go that way and then didn't clean it up well enough. But yeah, still super fast paced, a book that you can kind of like push it out really quickly and still an enjoyable experience, like having that thriller. Like I'm starting to enjoy thriller and then science fiction thrillers as well. It's just like, wow, this is insane. And then it just falls flat. Last two books that I read this month, we have The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl by Issa Rae. Funny story about this. And then I also read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. I was very much in the slump that I own this book, but I listened to the audio. I don't buy my audiobooks, so it's okay. I'm supporting the library. I listened to The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl on audio. It was 5 hours long, so it took me 2 hours, literally a gym session, pretty much to finish it. And I enjoyed it. I do not like short stories or essays, or I don't think I do. And listening to this, I did not know that it was like a collection of essays from Issa Rae, because I was just like, issues that I had with it were like, the storyline doesn't make sense. She was just talking about here, but we're back here and she's a child. She was just in college. And then after I'm done reading it, I go on Goodreads and I like start putting information in. It's like, this is a collection of essays. Oh, that makes sense. That checks out. Because now it makes sense about why stuff isn't following chronologically. And it's pretty much mishaps with Issa Rae. We kind of learn a lot about her. And I was like thinking, like, before I knew that it was a collection of short stories, I was like, I want to know more about her speaking French. She doesn't talk about that, or like how she got into Insecure and her whole timeline. So one thing that I hope in the future from Issa Rae is an actual memoir from her, from like child, baby to now, about everything, because I think that would be awesome. But yeah, that was a book that I've had. I actually stole this from my mom years ago, like right after college. So I finally got around to that. And then the last book that I read this month was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. In my edition, I actually own 2 books of this, and it's crazy because I'm not sure how I feel about this. I was annotating this and then stopped just because the MC in this book is insufferable. She is so annoying on purpose. I love Rebecca. I mean, I love her name is Rebecca. It's kind of like when you're mad, when you like not mad, but like when you have like an attitude, you like call people by their first name. But R.F. Kuang, she's one of my favorite authors. I own all of her books and probably will continue to. But I read Yellowface, and this was her first work into the fiction contemporary space. And her voice is so distinct that you just know that it's her. But this book, the main character, June, let's call her June, she pretty much steals a manuscript from her writer friend. They're not even really friends. We're not even really sure the depth of their relationship, because I think that the main character kind of just talks in circles in a way that's like, we're not even really friends. It's okay. It's like stealing $20 off the street from a stranger. It's not that big of a deal. And she goes through like this mental gymnastics of like, is this okay? Like, she's very racist. Think of all the is. She's not, well, no, I guess she's not sexist, but she's not really a girl. She's not a girl's girl either. But anyway, I could talk about this. We can make a video. I'm sure there are videos from people who have explained this book. It was good. I give it about 3.5, 4 stars, maybe a 3.75 if you're going by Storygraph scale. It just wasn't something that I was like, oh, I'm ready to pick this up and dive into the world. And I think that's just because I'm a fantasy girly through and through, science fiction fantasy girly. This was like a contemporary literary fiction, not really, kind of. And I wasn't really gotta go read my book, but I did make sure to read it almost every single night to get through it. And I did. And for what it's worth, I did enjoy it. So those are the 10 books that I read in the month of March. 5 audio, 5 ebook physical books. So pretty good, I think. Audiobooks are superior. I love them when they're available because the holds on audiobooks, and if you're not willing to buy them, and I'm not really, I have an Audible free trial that I'm doing right now, but I can't even use my credits because I'm like, I don't want to buy. I don't want to keep these books. Anyway, let's get into the books that I'm going to be reading for April. I'm not going to lie, my TBR, I'm going to stay positive. We're going to do it. Starting off, I mentioned this in my last book, my last video. I'm going to be continuing The House of Leaves. I'm about 30 pages in, so I'm ready to sink my teeth into this. This is going to be a buddy read, but also a book club read with my aunt. We're reading House of Leaves. We're only going to do one book, I think, this month, and that's this one. So I'm excited to have someone hold my hand as I get through this. Expect a reading vlog for this book. I'm excited because I've never done one before, and I'm going to share my thoughts about how this book is going as I read. I'm doing a book swap in April. Why am I signing up for this? I'm going to be reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I don't know what this book is about. Victor and Eli, college roommates. So I'm guessing a academic, dark academia. I do like those. I have had this book for 2 years. We're going to read it now. I'm excited because I do like some of V.E. Schwab's work. So we're going to continue that. This month, I'm also going to be reading Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I have read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I love that book. I give it 5 stars. I do like dark academia to an extent, but we're going to see about the Goldfinch. I actually did try and read this either last year or in 2022, and I was a little bored. So I think either the hold ran out or what. So I do know that I'm going to be attempting this via audio. This is probably the longest audio book I've ever read, I've ever listened to, where it's 32 hours long. So about 16 hours if you're doing 2 times speed, which I will be. But I'm already 9%, 2 hours and 37 minutes through it from before. And I'm not starting over because I know what happens in that time. I remember. So I'm going to continue. This is my chonk along read for the month of April. We're also going to be reading a fan fiction. Yep. I'm multifaceted. Many layers to me. I'm an onion. But yeah, we're going to be reading Manacled, which is a Hermione fanfic, and it's a really popular one. And I'm doing like a buddy read on this one, so I have to read it. And I just decided to read this one because I've heard so many things about this book or this fanfic, and it's going to be actually being traditionally published, called Alchemized by Sinlin Yu. And I was like, I want to read this before she like removes it from the platform. So we're going to do that. I did start it briefly. This is the slump where I'm saying all of my books moved to April. I did start it. I'm about 3 chapters in. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is a chunky book. So if I don't get through this till May, as long as I get through some of it. Next, I'm going to be reading Nettle and Bone. I'm actually reading that right now. I might finish today. I'm about 40% in, and it's very fast, very quick. 200 pages, I believe. So I'm enjoying that. It kind of reminds me of Stardust by Neil Gaiman, but more of like a very dark, twisted one. But like a adventure, kind of fantasy, cozy thriller, gothic, horror type fantasy. And yeah, I'm having a good time with that so far. Next, Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. I actually kind of had like a moment where I got super scared because this book, I wanted to buy this book. I had it like on my list, my Amazon wish list. I was like, I'm going to buy it for myself, I'm going to get this on my own. And then they removed it on Amazon. It's an Amazon original, but I think it's getting traditionally published, which I'm so happy for M.L. Wang. I love Sword of Kaigen. That's my book of the year. And we're only in April. Tomorrow's April. We're only in April, and Sword of Kaigen was my book of the year. How will M.L. Wang top Sword of Kaigen? We will see. I heard this book is super good. I am excited to read it. Another dark academia book, I believe. I actually was able to order it before they brought it back, the paperback. It's not here yet. It doesn't come until mid-April. In the meantime, I believe it's still on Kindle Unlimited. At least on my Kindle it is. If not, it is now available on Libby, so I actually have it on hold on Libby. I will be reading that. I'm hoping I can read it physically so I can annotate it. Next, I have When the Moon Hatched. This is like a romantasy, I believe. It's also getting traditionally published. You know, I'm really happy for indie authors. I'm going on a lot of tangents in this video, but I'm so happy for indie authors and them getting traditionally published. After reading Yellowface, which gives you insight onto how books get published and how they do all that stuff, which thank you, R.F. Kuang, for doing that, because now I have more insight. I'm excited for these authors to get this backing by these companies that will support them and they get more money and can write more books and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to try and read When the Moon Hatched. I also got The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I own that book. That was one of the books that I ordered from my last video where I said I just bought it. It came in. Beautiful cover. Love it. I don't have it on me right now. It's in the other room. The book is like the hardback that doesn't have the cover. It's so beautiful. I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. And then the book that I was mentioning earlier, where I'm doing the TBR challenge for, I got picked The Traitor Baru Cormorant. I'm butchering that. This is by Seth Dickinson. Guys, I've had this on my TBR since 2022. I'm really happy that I'm getting these old books that have been just collecting dust at the bottom of my 500 book TBR. And yeah, not a bad TBR, if I say. It's just how are we going to pace it? And a lot of these books will not be available on audio, so we'll definitely have to actually read them. But I think we'll have time if Stardew Valley doesn't take over my life like it has this past week. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for all the support on my last video. It actually made me so excited to see all the comments, all the likes, the views, the subscribers I've gotten. It means a lot to me that this is something that people want to see and that I'm actually having fun doing and just chatting and yapping to the camera and having you guys watch. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. There is now a dog on my lap. Oh, hi. So now you've met all my pets. This is Milo. Say hi, Mai. Oh, okay. He's going to sit until he doesn't want to sit anymore. But